Hello again. Welcome back to another episode of the Female Empowered Podcast. I'm your host, Christa Gurka. Today, we are going to be tackling a tough, but I really do believe critical topic for any service-based business. Um, Obviously, specifically the boutique fitness and wellness industry. And we talk about this a lot, but we're going to talk about pricing. And specifically, we're going to talk about how to raise prices during a challenging economic downturn. So basically, how do you up prices in a down economy? Raising prices is difficult no matter what. And the more you do it, the easier it does get, just like anything else. However, it's difficult. A lot of us are feeling based people and we feel badly about it. And we're also projecting our own feelings on it and sometimes making up other people's reactions to a price increase. But as inflation soars, like every professional service provider is really feeling the squeeze. Really. I mean, there is a squeeze in profit margins. There's a squeeze in, the labor, the cost of labor, materials, overhead, all of that is rising. Okay. So, and at the same time, it's all rising for our clients as well. So they're feeling financial pressure and it makes it difficult in our mind to then pass off these increased costs to people. Now, I am not one that believes in just raising prices for the sake of raising prices. In fact, if there's a way for me to keep my cost low, I do. In terms of my coaching business, my mentorship programs for female business owners, because my overhead is low here, I keep my prices very low. Now, the cost of my inner circle mentorship is $17,000. And I know that that's a high price point. I don't want to deflect that $17,000 is not expensive. However, from the value that I provide compared to other programs that are charging 20, 30, 50, $100,000, I meet with everyone in the inner circle once a month, one-on-one. So everyone in the inner circle gets a one-on-one call with me every single month. And we do group calls every single week. So the value that I can provide in individualized, specialized touch points to each member in our group is very different than some of the other coaching programs that are out there. And so, the fact that I have created $1 million business and I have brought home almost $1 million in profit, over $1 million in profits since starting the business is something that I can speak to very clearly and very intentionally. And I could charge $25,000. I could. I don't want to at this time because I really like being able where I sit in the market currently. Okay. Now, at Pilates in the Grove, it's a little different because of the brick and mortar and the operating costs that come along with it. I can tell you right now, I am not going to run a business for no profit. I'm just not going to do it. For that, I'll go teach at another studio. Okay. Did we have no profit during COVID? Yeah. And have our costs gone up tremendously? Yes. And to keep a multi-million dollar business afloat also takes a lot of money. And so we want to be able to be here for our community and we want to be able to be here for our staff. And I want to create a place where people can come and exercise and feel good about themselves. And also I want to create a business, a company where people can work at and feel valued and make a lucrative living, make, high 5, even 6 figures in salaries, depending on where they sit in the company. And so that is something that I really want. And I cannot do it without having profit in the business. Like if we're just breaking even, we cannot keep up with the economy and the market and such. So it's important to look at these things. And if you're in a position where you realize that you do have to increase pricing, there are ways that you can do it because it's not just about pricing strategies. It's about the overall profitability and the long-term sustainability of the business. You know, one of the things that I said to the team throughout COVID and to our clients as well is we have to make changes. I have to make changes in order for the business to remain financially solvent. If the studio is not financially solvent, we will close our doors. And then what will happen is people will not have a place to come exercise. None of the team will have a job. There will be a loss of community for sure. So all of the decisions I make are to protect the profit so that we can continue to grow and innovate and serve not only the team and the staff, but the community and the clients. Okay. Raising rates is not just about boosting revenue. And if you're doing it only for revenue and not looking at your profit, you're doing it wrong. Okay. So raising rates are way more about protecting your profit so you can continue to deliver the service that your customers have come to experience and rely on. Okay. Over the next 20 or 30 minutes, what I'm going to really do with you is explore some of these strategies for implementing price increases and how to reinforce the value you provide to your clients and overcoming some common objections. Okay. I'm also going to discuss with you some of the mindset that you as owner and maybe your team has to go through in order to have this happen successfully. All right. Are we ready? First, we're going to talk about some financial realities. All right. Yeah, things are freaking expensive. I went to go get an acai bowl the other day at a walk-in. I guess you call it casual dining. So in other words, you walk up, you order at a counter, you sit down, and then you get your food. So I ordered an acai bowl, and it was $16. $16. I was like, what? And I finished it in 5 minutes. So if an acai bowl is $16 that I can digest in 5 minutes, and our Pilates services are like 30, like look at everything is expensive. Things are going up. And so not only do I recognize that, but I recognize it in terms of what our clients are dealing with too. We've seen a tremendous amount of increasing in costs, specifically labor and payroll. Okay. So as we've finally gotten people back in and hired more staff, people are looking for increased salaries, especially with our administrative team. So we have increased labor costs. We have increased costs in terms of goods and services. So like equipment is way more expensive. Shipping is way more expensive. I don't know if any of you have looked at your utility bill recently, but ours has gone up by almost 45%. It's a lot. Okay. So if our utility bill is like doubling every, month, like over the course of time, that's a lot of money. Right. And so most of us have looked at areas of where we can cut costs. Right. We've tried to go leaner as we can, but sometimes in a service-based business, it's really hard to go lean because you need the people to provide the service. So you can absorb costs as long as you possibly can, but there will come a point where you have to really start adjusting your pricing model. So I've looked at several businesses that have been in our programs or have done one-on-one, consulting with me, and we do a deep dive into their numbers. And based on what they're charging and what they have the capacity to see in a day based on staffing, they cannot meet their revenue goal. They cannot meet it. So if I'll give an example. If they want to generate $300,000 in revenue, okay, I'm going to give you the exact numbers. Okay. So let's say someone wants to generate $350,000 in revenue. Okay. And they over a 50-week, right? A 50-week year. Okay. And now it's 2 people. Okay. And they each work, let's just say their prices, this is an appointment-based model, and their prices are, you know, $185. Okay. They have to see 38 revenue generating hours a week for 50 weeks. Okay. So now if they're like, well, I have myself that works 15 hours and another person that works 15 hours, like they're never going to make it to their goal of $350,000 at 30 hours and $185. So one thing has to give. Either they have to bring in another person to see more hours, or they have to raise their prices, or they have to decrease their goal. And I never say decreasing your goal is the right option. Okay. Because we don't want to operate at a loss. You can operate at a loss for a small period of time as you're growing and scaling possibly, but that's not sustainable. Okay. Especially because most of us draw our income and our livelihood from this. Okay. So we talked about like the financial responsibility and the financial needs. Now we're going to really talk about what I like to call the value imperative. Okay. Most of you are like, you know, and we still see this, and even in our groups and stuff, people are like, oh, people won't take a price increase. Well, how do you know that? Number one, well, they're struggling a lot in the economy. Yeah, I recognize that. Yeah, okay, but how do you know? So one of the things that we like to discuss is we're not just raising our rates. So, and first of all, I never like to call it a raise in rates or a rate increase. I say updated our pricing updates. Okay. And sometimes I'll say our pricing and policy updates. Okay. Just an update on what's coming down the pipeline. So it's really important that we frame this in the value that we provide. So I'll give you an example. Pilates. Okay. You're a small Pilates studio and you feel like it's really hard for you to compete with the big box gyms or other studios that have 10, 12 reformers because you can get 5 in. Okay. Well, you'll never be at a place with 10, 12 reformers if you're charging the same. Okay. Unless your overhead is significantly decreased, which it may be. But rather, what if you say, we are not like, you know, you get more quality, more individualized attention in this semi-private group of 5 people than in a group class of 10 to 12. You're not saying that that other thing over there is bad, right? You're just saying we're different. And here's our value proposition. You will get, so if you're someone that really wants to be in a small group, you want to go after those people. And this is the value you're getting. All right. So really important is not just talking about like services and hours you perform the work. It's the value. And I'll take it one step further. Now, if people really are in an economic downturn, they're going to value their time much more, especially if they have to leave work to go to a class or leave work to go to therapy. So how about I still charge $200 an hour for physical therapy, but I can get you out of here in 40 minutes because that's how good I am. So I'm not going to charge you less because I can get you done in 40 minutes. I'm going to charge you the same. And I'm going to be like, I just gave you 20 minutes of your time back. You can get back to work or get home to your kids or go jump in an exercise class or do whatever you want. Okay. So being really good at what you do, you can say like, we can do 30-minute sessions because I'm that good. We can do 40 minutes. Whatever the case may be. So you really want to lean into the value of that session. If you're talking about insurance-based physical therapy versus private pay physical therapy, the way we lean into the value proposition is because we spend all of our time with you, one patient during your 45 or 50-minute session, okay, we really focus on things you cannot do on your own. And so we see people once a week, and we've done the numbers, we've run the metrics in our business, and we see that like 4 to 5 visits is the max for physical therapy for us. So if we charge $200 an hour, you're going to spend, what is that, $800 to $1,000 with us in 5 hours. Versus if you go to an insurance-based clinic, possibly, this is a generalization, and you're being seen with 3 other people, okay? You go 3 times a week, you have a $50 copay, and you usually have to go for 12 sessions, okay? So 12 times 50, okay, is $600. So now you're out $600. You've gone 12 times, okay? And maybe you're better, maybe you're not. So that's the value we lean into. We can get you back and healthier faster, which will save you time and ultimately usually will save you some money as well. Okay? So if you can put hard numbers to it like that, then it really does help people see the return on their investment and the efficiencies they've gained. Okay. Now, if you can't, you kind of need to quantify that in a way that they can understand. Right. So maybe again, having smaller class sizes, have it truly being private, things like that. Okay. So one of the things I want you to realize is we're not just trading dollars for hours. Okay. We're providing an expertise. We're providing quantifiable results that will drive impact for our clients. It will change them. Okay. So what we want to lean into is the value of not doing it. So not coming to Pilates once a week could lead to back pain again and could lead into having surgery, or not keeping up with your therapy or getting checkups could lead eventually to a downturn and lead to higher insurance deductibles and possible surgery, lost wages because you can't work, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So those are the kind of messaging. It's not just about dollars and it's not just about trading time for money. All right. So now let's talk about when to pull the trigger. Well, first off, I definitely say you have to do this price exercise and where you have to see like really what is killing your profitability and where you need to be. So I don't believe in just saying, oh, I'm going to raise prices $10 because how do you know that $10 is even worth it? Okay. So you need to be able to do the analytics so that you can see I need to increase prices by X amount so that I can hit this profit margin at the end of the month or at the end of the year. That will allow me to continue to operate in a healthy manner. So you have to do the metrics. These are the stuff we work on in the inner circle and FitBiz Foundations. So you can look at and see what you actually need to be charging. And not only what you need to be charging, but what you need to be doing in terms of payroll and offers and contracts and stuff like that, so that you can keep everything in balance. Okay. So once you've decided you're going to pull the trigger and you're going to increase some pricing, there's not a perfect science to when to roll it out. One of the things that I like to say is don't wait until you're like already operating at a loss to roll it out. Start to plan a little bit in the future and maybe do it times where there's a natural turnover, like maybe September 1st when people are coming back from the summer, or January 1st when everyone's, rent generally goes up 3%, or I don't know, maybe June. I don't think June 1st is a great time to increase pricing because people are usually like gone during that time anyways. But those or maybe you're moving or you're doing a rebrand or there's something around some time frame that you can use to make it kind of cohesive. Okay. If you don't have one of those, just pick a date and decide you're going to do it. Usually give your clients ample notice. 30 to 60 days is definitely reasonable, and you don't have to oversell it. Okay. You don't have to convince them why you're doing it. You can make the announcement. All right. FPL, which is our power and light company, did not give me notice that my utility bill is going to double. Okay. The gas doesn't text me. The gas stations don't text me when they're going up from $3.25 to $3.49. It just is. Okay. So you can decide on how you're going to notify them. It can be in an email. It can be in a sign in the studio. It could be in a newsletter. Okay. And, and then another idea, which I think is a good idea, that we kind of were able to work with one of our businesses on, that I thought it was a good happy medium, because they were really resistant to increasing prices, but they really needed to in order to stay, financially solvent. Was we did like, we implemented the increases over time. So we said January 1, prices were going to go up like 10%, and April 1, prices were going to go up the other 10%. Okay. So people had a little bit of a time frame to like reach, instead of doing 20% all at once. And if you're like, oh, 20% is a lot, if you're charging $30, 20% is $6. Okay. So you go up to $33, and then you go up to $36. That's one thing. The other thing you can do is grandfather certain clients in for 3 to 6 months. You're going to say beginning January 1st, all new clients will have this price increase. All current and active clients, your pricing increase will go into effect March 1st. So that's another thing that you can do. You shouldn't, and I don't recommend changing prices mid-contract. So if you have someone that's on a year-long membership, you need to really wait out the year to change those pricing. Another initiative that you could do, though, is if people are on month-to-month pricing and you're going to update pricing, you could give them the opportunity to pay the rest of the year in full at the current price point. It's another cash flow suggestion, and also a way to entice them to get the benefit of staying at the same price if they would like. So now if you're thinking, like, okay, you've got the point, I really need to raise prices, and I know that this all makes sense, but I'm really, really worried about delivering the news. I'm really worried that a lot of people will leave and they'll go down the street to XYZ studio or clinic. Well, the one thing that I was told when I first started working with a business coach was never negotiate basically on price. So basically, like, never let pricing be your unique positioning, your unique selling point, because it's a race to the bottom and you will always lose because someone can always come in underneath you. So you never really want to have your unique selling proposition be that you're the least expensive, unless you literally have no overhead. Okay. So what you can do, though, is say things like, if they leave, they're going to leave, and you cannot guarantee that not everyone will leave. So that's not your job either. All right. It's a valid concern, but the reality is you might lose some clients who are price sensitive, and you're going to gain some who will absorb the new rates. And you have to be at peace with that decision. You have to say, this is what the business needs. This is me being the smart and confident business owner that I need to be in order to continue to be able to serve our people. And I have to be okay if people decide to leave. All right. And all along this way, you really, really, really want to be reinforcing the value you provide people. Okay. The right people will stay. And 90% of the time, I'll tell you, most people don't even push back. We just like play the story over and over and over in our head, and most people don't even say anything. All right. And if you lose two, but with a price increase or in the new people that come in, it's going to work out in your favor anyway. All right. Remind your clients of the transformations and outcomes that you generate for them. All right. Make sure that you're strengthening your relationships with them over and over, so that really they see you as irreplaceable. Like, I can't do it without him or her. I cannot do it without Pilates in the Grove. Build that community, because they're not only going to stay for you, they're going to stay for the community. All right. And how can you maybe explore ways that you can expand on the value proposition? We did things like we got our sauna blankets and our red light therapy, which is not it's a cost to get them, but it's not a recurring cost. And so we're like, oh, you can do this now and you can stay and have this. And we offer massage and we offer physical therapy and you get discounts if you're, a member of the studio. And so, clients really recognize and appreciate when you go the extra mile for them. Okay. It, it just like, it gives them a sense of community and a sense of loyalty. And so little things, sending handwritten cards, doing happy birthday things that are more personalized, those things, those like real binary things that you're doing and they just seem like busy work, they're creating this loyalty and this you know no like and trust factor always and always and always. And so if you end up having to raise the prices a little bit, they still want to support you. Okay. Lean into the fact that when people support small businesses, they're supporting, women, they're giving back, they're providing college educations for kids in the family, they're providing good, lucrative jobs for the people on the team. Like it really goes, they can see the fruits. Like clients, when they see my kids come in now, when I started the studio, they were like 4 and 2, they were babies, they were running around the studio and oh my God, they used to throw like the balls all over the place and like hanging upside down on the Pilates equipment. And now they come in, my 20-year-old is like 6'4". They can't believe it. They feel like they're part of my family. They just see these kids growing up and, sometimes they come and they work the desk and it's just like, and for me too, it's amazing that people have been with us that long that they've seen my kids go from like 5 to 18. Just crazy. All right. So let's talk a little bit about objections because you will get them and just be prepared for them. Listen, being a business owner, this is what this is part of the job. When you decided to open a business that people had to pay for your services, you took on the responsibility of having to deal with objections about price. You just did. It's okay. We all have to do it. Clients will push back, they'll negotiate, and some will threaten to leave and they never will, and others will threaten to leave and they might. And that's okay. It says nothing about you. Okay. It says nothing about you. All right. So I'm going to read these because I can't memorize them, but here's a few addressing certain objections about the pricing increases. Okay. I understand rates increasing is never ideal. However, due to significant inflationary pressures on our costs, we've had to adjust our pricing model to ensure we can continue delivering an exceptional service experience long term. We've held off on these increases as long as possible, absorbing these costs in other ways rather than immediately passing on. However, the time has come. We so appreciate your support and your loyalty. Please reach out to us if you have any additional questions. Okay. You can then, also pivoting back into the value proposition that you offer. You can say things like, as you've come to know, our expertise enables our company to achieve these outcomes and results worth whatever the share. Like you're saving on your doctor's visits, you're saving on other medical, So while our increase is higher than we like, we know that you will continue to get a strong return on your investment with us. Okay. There's also things that you can do in terms of like payment plans with people. You could say maybe they can pay at the first and the middle of each month, which will spread it out over 2 pay periods. You can consider to do value adds in terms of, when we do a pricing increase, maybe everyone gets free pop-up classes for the year. There's like little things that you can do to really help people realize that you're trying to do the best by them and by the business at the same time. And these are the hard things. These are the hard things that as business owners, we have to navigate. At the end of the day, you have to be prepared that some people may choose to leave. Okay. It's okay. Sometimes they'll come back. All right. So the truth is, raising prices is one of the toughest and most uncomfortable decisions we have to make especially as a service provider. but doing uncomfortable things makes us stronger. And if you don't adjust your pricing during times of high inflation, you're really putting the long-term sustainability of your business at risk. And when your business is not sustainable, that leads to burnout. And I believe that was our previous episode talking all about burnout. So sometimes if you're not willing to, address these situations head on, then you're not going to be able to keep your business sustainable, which is going to lead to burnout, which is going to lead to all these other things. Okay. Really lean into the value importance, the imperative of like showing people the value and how you're different. You really, like I said earlier, it's not just about increasing your revenue, it's about protecting your profit so that you can continue to deliver an incredible service experience. And we cannot do that without money. We cannot, our rent goes up every year. Payroll usually goes up every year. Utilities are skyrocketing. ACs break, equipment breaks. You need new floors, you need to polish new things, you need to hire more people. Okay. So costs go up. And in order to be able to continue to keep up with the demands, we at some point need to raise prices. Okay. And what we have to remember is price is what they pay, but what they're really getting is value. What they're really getting is the ability to stay mobile so that they can hike for 5 miles in the summer when they go to their summer home. The value that they're getting is getting rid of their back pain so they don't have to go to surgery. The value that they're getting is being able to stay strong and consistent so they can ski every year without injury, regardless of the fact that they're aging. The value that they're getting is not having injury after injury after injury, which keeps them from doing the things that they love. These are the values that we're giving them. All right. So it's just a necessity. And I don't take like raising prices lightly, but when we look at the numbers and our numbers are saying we need more profit, then what we need to do is raise prices without our costs going up, which is the only way. Because if you increase your revenue, but your costs go up as well, your profit's going to stay the same. So you have to increase your revenue without your costs going up. And so that's why it's really important also working with someone that can help you figure out, that can help you decipher what it is that you actually need to do in your business, because every business is different, right? So that you can lean into the decision that you're making out of objective data, not just on feelings. Okay. I say this all the time. Feelings are feedback, they're not facts. We could feel a certain way about something. That doesn't mean that it's true. All right. I hope you enjoyed this exercise today, this topic. If you have any comments, I'd love for you to DM me over on Instagram. You can go check me out over at Christa Gurka, at Christa Gurka. And until next time, my friends, have a good one. Bye for now.